If you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I've tried quite a few different electric skateboards under $1,000. These include Backfire, Exway, Team G, Meepo, Walgo, etc. While I believe that the best electric skateboard for each person is going to be different, there is one board in particular that I personally use way more than any other board, and I feel that a lot of people would likely consider this one to be the best electric skateboard under $1,000 today, and I'm going to tell you why. I'll also tell you about a couple other boards that I think you should consider. In my opinion, the best electric skateboard today under $1,000 is the Exway X1. Even though I have a bunch of different boards, the Exway is the one that I take out all the time. It doesn't matter if I'm going to a meeting, to a group ride, or if I just feel like riding by myself. When I'm choosing which board I want to take out, the Exway is pretty much always the one that I choose, and there are a number of reasons. First, the Exway is lightweight and easy to carry. At 6 kilograms or 13 pounds, it is certainly heavier than a regular longboard, but by electric skateboard standards, this is pretty light. Most electric skateboards that are similar in size are around 7 to 8 kilograms. That might not sound like a huge difference, but if you're like me and you have to take the board up and down stairs and to places where you can't skate, like the metro station, having a board that is lighter and easier to carry really makes life easier. Let's be honest, having an electric skateboard is really more about fun than practicality, just like a regular skateboard or longboard. And I feel like I have more fun on the Exway than I do on most other electric skateboards. Any electric skateboard can be fun, but the performance of the Exway is top-notch. At half the price of a boosted board, this is the only pre-built electric skateboard I've used where I feel like its performance is competitive with the boosted. I'm not just talking about speed and acceleration, I'm talking about the precision that you get from the remote, and most importantly, the braking performance. Braking performance is something that doesn't get mentioned a lot in reviews, but it's definitely something you should consider, especially if you're going to ride in traffic. The reason that I think Exway's braking performance is so good is not just because it can brake hard, it's because its braking behavior is intuitive and predictable. What I mean by that is if you want to brake gently, you can brake gently. And if you want to brake hard, you can brake hard. This might sound like an obvious feature, but the reality is that, as far as I know, no other pre-built electric skateboard gives you the kind of braking strength and braking precision that you get with the Exway and the boosted. The bushings and trucks that come standard with the Exway are also very good. Of course, this is kind of subjective and depends on your weight and riding style, but a lot of times, bushings and trucks that come with boards under $1,000 are not very good. There are exceptions, but the Exway is one of the only boards where I felt like the stability and turning ability are both very good straight out of the box. My final reason for using the Exway way more than any other electric skateboard is that I can charge it up very fast with its quick charger. If you have an Exway and you don't have the quick charger, I highly recommend it. The quick charger makes the relatively short range of the Exway a non-issue. Let me give you an example scenario. Suppose I ride the Exway down to 0% power and I want to charge to 90%. That'll only take about 30 minutes and will allow me to ride for roughly another 10 kilometers. If I were to bring out a different board, one that has a 20 kilometer range and takes 4 hours to fully charge, to charge enough to ride another 10 kilometers would take 2 hours. This is actually pretty normal. Think about that, 30 minutes versus 2 hours to ride another 10 kilometers. But even that example is kind of extreme because in a more typical case, I would find a place to recharge well before I reach 0%. Even though I personally consider the Exway to be the best electric skateboard under $1,000, it's really not for everyone. You need smooth roads to ride the Exway, otherwise the ride is not going to be pleasant because of the small wheels and hub motors. Also, when riding on hills, while the Exway does a good job of going up hills, the battery drains really fast. The ideal environment for using the Exway is someplace flat and smooth. That's kind of true for every single board, but under those conditions, I tend to prefer using the Exway more than any other board I've tried that's under $1,000. By the way, the Exway now has more options for wheels and bushings. I'll tell you more about that very soon in another video.
Subscribe.
As I mentioned earlier, the Exway is really most suited for smooth roads. If you don't have a lot of smooth roads in your area, you may want to consider the Backfire G2S because of its 96mm wheel option. This is another street board where I consider the ride quality to be great straight out of the box. It's not as exciting to ride as the Exway, but if you don't have good roads, the Backfire G2S is definitely worth considering. And it's also quite a bit more affordable. And if your roads are extremely bad, you should look into the Backfire Ranger. This board is heavy and kind of an all-terrain board, but if your roads are that bad or you want to do some light off-roading, the Backfire Ranger is a great option for under $1,000. I hope that was helpful. Subscribe!